All right, we are live. All right, perfect. So I am just going to say right on the get-go, if anybody is joining us right now, and I'm probably going to have to say this several times, I've asked Greg to do it as well, that as we're live streaming on YouTube, those of us who are in the Zoom session right now cannot see your comments. So I appreciate everybody that makes comments on the live stream that says, hey, Carrie, or hey, so-and-so, hi, Regina, all those kind of comments. I just can't see them. So the one thing I would say is if you have specific questions that you really want answers for, please, at the end of the live stream, go into the comment section after this video is posted and leave your questions there because I do get back to you. I love having questions. I love being able to respond and interact with all of you guys through the comment section. And so please leave your questions there. Greg, if on right now, I love you. Thank you for the work that you do in helping assist us in the comment section in the live stream through the thread. Your presence is really appreciated. Your heart does come through as a great moderator, and I thank you so much for what you do. And so I really hope you're there today. And I hope that those of you who are in the chat room can interact with Greg because he is a truly lovely being that I'm so grateful that I got to meet. And he is assisting us and assisting you as we're coming together and talking about this amazing information. So, having said that, where we left off, I went back to the video because, man, it's been weeks since we've been diving into the subject matter because I was gone. And when I got back, I was too tired to do a live stream. I had to listen to my body. So I was like, where the heck did we leave off? And where we left off was with the quantum experiment with the prayer for the people, that the prayer that had been given like 6 to 10 years later, that then quantumly had affected the results from the past. And that was a very amazing portion of this book, to see how quantumly entangled we are in everything, that everything is really in this now space. So things that we think that have happened in the past, everything is running simultaneously. And if we can really grasp that, then we can really grasp the fact that the sacred languages are quantum in nature, affecting us quantumly in our now, in the past, in this present, for the future, which is all simultaneous. So I don't know about you, I'm still wrapping my mind around that. The more I process it, the more I take it to spirit, the more I begin to understand it from the heart level, because I just don't want it trapped up here. I'm wanting
Oh,
us to, and again, when I say things like this, I'm pointing it back at me, okay? So I should say, I want this information for me to go from my head into my heart. And that is my desire for you, but I know that there's parts that I'm still wrestling with on this because this is something that we were not taught. We're experiencing it, which is a greater teacher than sitting in a classroom in a lecture. But to comprehend the mechanics of how the spiritual is tied scientifically, then it allows no separation in living in the system that we are, so we can marry the two instead of separating the two, saying that the two cannot exist when they most definitely do. You cannot separate them. They are the one and the same thing. Ken, and we're gonna go into the book, but I wanted to share with you something that Ken had shared with me when he was looking at etymologies of words. And one of the things that I didn't get to share, and I think I might share it at the end of this section when we begin talking about the book, because when I was in Crestone, I wanted to talk about the word conscious. What is conscious? What is consciousness from the Aramaic point of view? And I never got to bring that forward of what that looks like through the letters as it's being explained to us. And I think I will do that today if we have time. Um, Ken was doing the etymology of the word conscious and con and then science. And we've seen that. I mean, when you look at the word, you can easily separate it, con and science. So con is also from calm and means together with. If there's a coming together, together with, as that prefix to science. And then science, in breaking it down means to know well. So together to know well is conscious. To know thyself be true, right? So consciousness is knowing well that which is together, walking together, encompassing through science, which is really just the meaning of it is to know well. So what are we knowing well with our consciousness? What do you guys think that means? Does that give you a different train of thought of what consciousness is?
Yeah, I'd have to think about it, process that, because that's pretty big. And it is a little bit of a shift because it is a shift in the way I was thinking of it. It personalizes it more, I think,
But
because
here's
you're
part I
looking at
think
it
that,
consciousness as a universal thing to more an intimate thing.
but isn't that what the energy of God is?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what the energy of God is, then what are we getting to know well?
Us.
Ourselves.
And creator source, because we're all one.
Yeah.
So if science and spirituality are separated and they're not unified, then we are going to never know well what God is as well as who we are, because we are one. That's why I love this book so much. And that's why we're going into it. And that's why there's many teachers out there. In fact, just to share, I had an incredible conversation with Daryl from Arkansas. I'm just saying it because I love it, because that's where he signed all the emails. Arkansas, love him. And we had a wonderful conversation today. The internet connection was crappy, but he's also familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. And then I'm going to be having a conversation with Steve Conover, who is also well-versed in Dr. Joe Dispenza's books. And so there's something here in spirituality that Dr. Joe Dispenza has unlocked for us through the sciences that then we can attach the sacred languages to, so that we can comprehend and know well who, what, why, when, where we are doing what we are doing in creating our reality, so that we can be conscious, create, so that we know well that which we are creating, whether that is breaking the habit of being ourselves, whether that is affecting our matrix. You know, Regina and I, we were talking about how our friend Linda talks about that once you really understand the matrix and how it works, she uses the phraseology of making love to the matrix. You know, it's not our enemy. We've had this whole thought process that the matrix is our enemy, but really, I see it as adversarial friend. It's an adversary until you realize the friend that you have within the matrix in creating your own environment, so that you can create through a well-beingness, knowing well, creating a new way of us being able to operate and being able to lovingly create and allow the matrix to love us back. It's a completely different way of reframing, instead of taking a look as a victim of all these, and the agents within the matrix are out against us. It's like, no, you are your own agent that is against you, and it's called Hasatan, and it's your mind. And that's why we're talking about these things. So I'm hoping that's a decent enough intro from where I want to get to, because we're still in the science side of them proving this. Now, just let you know, this this book is like being trashed, so it's getting very well used.
Carrie?
Did you want to say something, Kathleen?
Yes, I wanted to know, when you and Ken were talking, the conscience. There's those two words that sound so much alike, like conscious and conscience with the N in it. So the conscience is like we always say, you know, your conscience is what guides you on the inside. You know how, and that's science. But then the conscious is CONSCIOUS. And did you guys talk about that? How they're connected? Are those two words the last parts, the shush, conscious, and the science part, are they both connected? Are they have some of the same roots? You understand what I'm asking?
Oh, I do. And so what I'm going to do real quick is let's take, okay, so here we go. Conscious, the IOUS,
Yeah.
means full of or possessing. So I'm going to say that again. It's full of or possessing.
Mm-hmm.
So if the root is through conscious, like my conscience is clear, consciousness is the full possession of your conscience. So in other words, you're fully possessing awareness of where you are in your moment. Full consciousness levels is the full possessing of your own conscience. So conscience would be the micro, consciousness is the macro, consciousness is the full possession of that which is in your now. You're consciously aware. This is everything that's happening in your full awareness. This is not the sub underneath it. It's what is right now in your moment, being fully possessing it. So if I say my conscious, this is how I see it. I could probably have a linguist explain it better. But the way I see it is my conscience tells me I should do this or I shouldn't do this. So that's like a past tense. But if my consciousness is telling me it's in my moment of full awareness, fully grasping a hold of it in my now. Not something that I looked at, yesterday because I was forced to make a decision to not steal something, right? I was tempted. My conscience said I shouldn't. It's the fullness of the moment and awareness, fully grasping it. And I think we're limiting it. When we say my conscience says this, we're putting it in a box and we're separating us from the full consciousness. The fullness of the grasping of what we're really talking about, because consciousness and awareness is a state that is a divinely inspired state that we are part of when we tap into it. When we call it conscience, we've just segregated off of being in this avatar in my own brain.
Okay.
That's how I see it. Like I said, a linguist could probably break it down and say something completely different, but from my understanding, that's how I see it. And I see conscience as being something completely separated that ego can take a hold of.
Yeah.
As mine, right?
Great, thanks.
Okay. It's a good question, though. It's an excellent question. Because that's rattled around in my head a lot, too, and I'm sure you weren't the only one that thought about that.
I think Zarin was starting to say something
Go for it.
About this subject.
Yeah, Zarin, if you have something to say, please.
What were you saying about to fit together or bring together? What was that about?
This is the prefix of con and calm.
Okay. So a word that stuck out to me, I don't know if it stuck out to you in the movie, the Infinite movie, was artisan. And I've been pondering that word. And art is actually, in etymology, to fit together is a portion of that definition. And I see the I in between as me. So to fit together myself, and Zen is like a portion of expanse. So to fit together the expanse, I need to know myself, to know who I am. And that's part of the remembering process that we're all going through individually and collectively, that we are the artisan. We're the ones that put this together for the sake of the experience, to journey through for what we're doing. We are the artisan.
Exactly. I love that, Zarin. We are. And that's what understanding about this quantum realm and what we are creating, and why it's so important that we have that heart-brain coherence working when we're creating things, so that we're consciously aware of what we are doing in the matrix. And so we don't allow subconscious programming hijack us, when we can change that by these beautiful techniques of understanding how we can recreate and reframe things so that we're not being hijacked by our subconscious programming, so that we truly can be the artisans in full responsible creatorship, in coming together to create heavenly earth. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful when we can connect that way, because each of us in our own expression as artisans, we are coming together doing it together. That's what that compass, we are walking it out together. And so that is why this information is so important, because it's not based on the individual level anymore. Although we can individually create an experience for ourselves, but that individual creation of our own experience is still affecting everyone else energetically, because we're all connected. That's why we need to be responsible creators and artisans, because we have lived in the place of separating that we do and everything that we say. Ken, you had something you wanted to share? Everything that we do and everything that we say affects everyone else within this matrix reality, because we are connected as one. Ken wants to share something, and then we'll get into the book. I see him hovering, and so I want to give him an opportunity because he's like, oh, you're speaking my language. You're speaking my language.
Hello. Is there? I just overheard. I'm just out in the other room, just breaking down stuff. And subconscious is not a bad thing. If we redefine it correctly, it's really mother. Mother is the subconscious. Father would be more the consciousness aspect. And so mother is a developer. Father would be an envelope construct of the word. And this is all within us. Consciousness is within us in degrees, and so is subconscious within us. If we can break free of the subculture of the world, the inversion, then we can revalidate subconsciousness correctly, because mother would nurture us. She's teaching us the life journey so we comprehend the death message correctly. It's quite beautiful. So mother would teach us the basic construct of subconscious. The word would teach us how to us in death correctly. That is really a journey of life through death, in its organic form of metamorphoses, but breaking free of the lesser construct of the world and how it defines it, the subconscious, because it influences. Everything's an influence to an intention. And this is how we can redefine ourselves and then create the intention. So we're actually in a position, when this is complete, to be called supreme beings. But until that, we're still being in construct, and because it affects our subconscious, it is perverted mother if we allow it to. And so that's why when Carrie shares this, that's why the word is so important through the original Aramaic, the lofty, and the Hebrew, because that is a mother-father component within us that is seeking to be fully developed, to be called consciousness.
That's really good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's got some amazing stuff he's working on right now, and we're going to be starting up on the excavations at dawn again very soon with some of the things to help. We're going to be basically sharing and breaking down what was shared at Crestone. So for people that missed that, specifically, yes, because Kathleen, I know we have been just briefly touching about death and what that looks like in the inversion and how we're rewriting it. And Ken has it beautifully broken down. And like I said, there was a lot of it that was shared in Crestone, and I didn't record a lot of the messages. And some of the messages I did record didn't come across very well, just because of the way it was being recorded. So we are, and it very much ties in quantity to what we're discussing here today as well. It's all just fascinating how it fingers into one another. So where we left off before, and we were talking again about the test that was with prayer and how quantumly things change. We are going into page I don't have enough light in here, so I'm going to have to use my readers. Too small a print. Page, we haven't gotten very far. Only page 18, please.
We haven't.
But we've been having such great conversations. I don't want to rush through it.
Yeah.
Because everybody can read the book on their own timing, but I want to be able to bring out some of these beautiful nuggets so we just don't go over them, so I can connect and really connect at the heart level as to what's going on here. So I love this about creating a state of being or a state of mind. And since we were talking about being a responsible creator and of our own creation, or like Zarin said, an artisan, then this is really what we're talking about, creating a state of being. I love this, what he says, and I can relate to this, and it goes into greater detail in the book. Many people exist in a state in which the body has become the mind. The body has become the mind, when they are ruled almost exclusively by the body and how it feels. So when I talk about the observer having an effect, it is not just the brain that is at work influencing matter, but the body as well. It is your state of being when mind and body are one as an observer, which has an effect on the external world. That is a profound statement. It is your state of being when mind and body are one. As an observer, which has effects on the external world. The concept that I want to bring into you before we move on to the next, where they were talking about test tube results in DNA, because again, I want to link it all to our DNA because the sacred languages, they have literally found them within our DNA. So there's something that we need to connect here. There are two forms for the word heart. And I did not know this originally. I mean, I shared this with Regina quite a few months back. And so if somebody's watching this information for the first time, this will be new. For those of you, you'll remember this information. Leb and Bel are two different words for the word heart. And they are the exact same letters, but in reverse order. And so when I explain this to you, it'll make so much more sense, especially what Joe Dispenza just said about some people, that they're the state of being, that many people exist in a state in which the body has become the mind. Okay. We already know about the chemical makeup of things that happen within our body, all the chemical responses. So the Lamed Bet, is the correct order that we want to be existing and operating from versus the Bel, the Bet Lamed. Leb means having authority over your inside, or so having authority over that which is within you. Bel is inside, is having authority over you. And Bel means anxious, fearful, and terror as related to the heart. So the emotions, when you're in a state of anxiety, or you have terror, or anything out of the state of shalom, this is where you are not in coherence. You are discoherent, and you're now in the place where you are not in, what is it? That you are in the sympathetic nervous system instead of the parasympathetic. You've just entered into survival, fight or flight. And that is what is having authority over you. You haven't taken authority over it. That's why you're in the Bel position, the Bet Lamed. Now that is supposed to teach you. So on the inside, when you are experiencing anxiety or terror, or you're anxious and you don't have peace, that's why the Lamed is last. Because it's saying, if you have this on the inside of you, it's trying to teach you to flip your polarity so that you have authority over that which is on the inside of you, which is the correct order, where now you have heart-brain coherence working for you instead of against you. And that's what this is saying, is that if your body, so your body, you exist in a state in which the body has become the mind, because that which is going on the inside has authority over you and is literally becoming your existence. That is so profound. When I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense of what I've been seeing, of why this polarity is flipped within the heart. And Joe is saying, you know, there's so much more that when the mind or body are one as an observer, it affects the external world. Because whatever you've got going on here, you're going to experience more of from the quantum field, because that's what you're attracting. As an electromagnetic being, you're attracting more of what is being right here. So you've got anxiety and you're anxious. Guess what you're going to attract more of in your quantum field? Holy moly! Hence why we have to break those subconscious programs so that we're not attracting more of that which we've become addicted to, that our body has been running in this program underneath, attracting everything that we're putting out because our hearts are in the opposite order and we haven't taken authority over them. Does that make sense to you guys? Any comments on that? Because that was a huge shift for me when I saw that. It's okay if you don't, because the very next sentence says this. Go ahead, Zarin.
I do have a comment. Well, it's I walk through this process and then trying to explain something that I walked through to somebody else and watching them, their facial expressions or their immediate response to what I'm giving them. I've been able to determine where they are on the habitual scale of reframing I'm trying to reframe their mind, but I can already see the resistance by what comes out of their mouth or their body language, because it's about what's trained the mind to be the habit, what's coming out of them. And it goes back to, you know, what are you putting in? What are we allowed to put into our conscious to automatically come out, because it's a habit that comes out.
Exactly. So the next sentence that Joe writes is, we communicate with the quantum field primarily through our thoughts and feelings. So in the position of the leb or the bell is going to be that which is being communicated to the quantum field. And so we think about it. So thoughts and feelings together. So we have a thought that then produces a feeling in our heart. And that's what this whole next section is talking about. And why there are certain things that are supposed to come together to have an effect on the quantum field. It is not just a single item. It's not just one thing. It's a combination of that which is available to us so that we can attract things within our quantum field to shift the way we interact with the matrix. This is a really one of those hard-hitting sections again, where like when I read it, I had to set the book down for a little bit to be able to comprehend really what was being shared with this, how important this information is regarding our DNA. So it was another test that was ran. And this study, and if you guys don't know this resource, please go and look at it, because I was introduced to Heart Math Research Center years ago. In fact, I was really grateful for it. And when I say years, yeah, it's multiple. It wasn't all that long ago. This is when I was in my biggest crisis with my CPTSD, when I had a lot of discoherence going on in my body. My heart was definitely in the opposite order, the bell and not the leb. And I began to be introduced to settle me down, to begin to have coherence again. The Heart Math Institute really began to show us how to do that. And again, I was introduced to it through Greg Braden.
Mm-hmm.
So Heart Math Research Center in California, they have incredible information. They have a lot of tools to assist people so that we can get ourselves back into the parasympathetic rest and recuperate portion of our body instead of fight or flight. Because if you stay in that other side too long, your body will begin breaking apart, because there's certain functions that are being halted when we are in that state of panic or we're in anxiousness and we are not coherent. And so this is really important for the health of our vessel as well. And I've seen that even with my own mom having leukemia now, because of her being in that bell position of having so much anxiety in the inside that her body is attacking herself. So I'm seeing it in a very close, my mother, and I was going down that path. And so I'm thankful that I'm getting this information so that I can restructure myself so it's not the same thing for me. So the test that they did, this is incredible. Okay, so they have documented a specific link between our emotional states and our heart rhythms. So if you guys are in the book, it's page 19, it's about halfway down when I'm talking about this. When we have negative emotions, such as anger or fear, so think about the heart being in the bell position, because it's not coherent, it's not in the state of peace or shalom or rest. Our heart rhythms become erratic and disorganized. But in contrast, so now think about the leb, now we're changing it. In contrast, positive emotions, love and joy, for instance, produce highly ordered, coherent patterns that heart math researchers they refer to as heart coherence. And this is a key element to the process of creation. This whole, what if we're being responsible for our creation or being irresponsible for our creation, depends on whether we have heart coherence or not. So here's what they did. They had different control groups. And the first control group, he had people come in that were used to this pattern of meditation to bring heart coherence in. That was to teach and build heart focused coherence. And so what they did is they took these techniques that Heart Math Institute teaches and to produce strong, elevated feelings such as love and appreciation for 2 minutes. And again, Heart Math Institute does a really good job of teaching what that looks like so that you can get centered and bring that back online. Beautiful, beautiful tool. So what they did is they took vials containing DNA while they were in this focus group, and they were focused on this beautiful heart elevation of love and appreciation, and they had the vials within the quantum field of the 10 participants that were doing this. And so what they did is they were looking at the analysis afterwards, and the DNA strands had no structure change at all. There was no significant changes. The second group, they did the same thing, but instead of just creating positive emotions, like a feeling of love and appreciation, here we go. They simultaneously held an intention, a thought, to either wind or unwind the DNA strands. And this is where he said, this group produced statistically significant changes in the conformation shape of the DNA samples. In some cases, the DNA was wound or unwound as much as 25%. So the whole portion that Joe is talking about here is that if we are going to affect the quantum field and have significant change, it can't just be about positive feelings from our heart. It has to be coupled with an intent. And this is why, for me, when I began studying the sacred languages and I began seeing words, it was showing me the intent. It was showing me in the root form, it was showing me, I'm going to get emotional here, holy moly. That's why I have so much passion for these languages, because I've seen the effect on me and now I know why. So what it was doing is it would show me, so you get the root form of the word, right? And it's like a lump of clay. And it's like it's a gift from creator. It's a gift from source. As a creator to a creator. Here is all of the energy you need to make something beautiful with this lump of clay. And I'm giving it to you. Here's the intent. Now, let's activate it. So I'm going to put some letters here on the front and some on the back and some in the middle, and you're going to see it change and become action. So I'm looking at this word, I'm seeing this lump of clay that has potential, and then the intention happens when the letters are added or subtracted, and where they're added and subtracted. And all of a sudden I'm saying, oh, here's the intention of what the Creator wants me to do with this lump of clay, because it's really me. It's my intention, because I'm choosing to partner with the language. So then when I look at this, I take it to meditation, and I get into the place of my heart with love and gratitude for what I just saw. And I meditate on the intention of this beautiful word that I just dug out, that I just saw the full intention. And I come together with heart-brain coherence in a state of loving gratitude, meditating on the intent of this word. And guess what? It manifests in my life, because it changes at the DNA subatomic level within me, that it makes changes within my physical structure and in my quantum field. And pretty soon the intent of this beautiful word that I just dug out is manifesting in my life. To me, that's huge, because the letters are tied to our DNA. English is like spell casting that happens on the external, that if you allow it to come within you, can affect you. But Hebrew and Aramaic work within the cellular structure of your body, that through an electromagnetic exchange in the quantum field will change your vessel as well as bring things within your quantum field. That is why it's so profound. So when I saw this section in this book about how the Heart Math Institute brought this whole thing forward, and Ken, if you've listened to a lot of our teachings, Ken is always talking about intent. What is the intent? Because that is so important at the beginning stages for us to move from point A to completion, to shalom, that if we don't know what the intent is in the beginning, then how can we ever create the end result that we are seeing and that our heart truly desires to become, that which we have seen written within the sacred writings that are continually pointing us to oneness, unity, unless we choose to partner with it. And that's what this was saying to me. Hopefully you guys can see that, but I mean, this was like, oh my gosh, because now I could see the science behind it of what is happening and what the Creator was wanting for us to be able to partner. And science has shown it to really exist and really be. This isn't one of those psychological things, I'm just going to tickle your ears with new information. It's like, no, it's measurable. It's measurable. And we get to partner with the quantum field through this, through the sacred languages, as a blueprint for our very own becoming, to create a heavenly earth. I don't know about you guys, but that makes me super excited. Super excited.
Amen. Yes.
Wow. You know, and not everybody's called to the languages, and I totally get that. You don't need to be called to the language. Just understand that heart-brain coherence and what we just discussed and what Joe is trying to draw attention to, you want to change things and you want a heavenly earth? Well, let's do our part individually and then come together collectively. I mean, okay, so I'm gonna side note here. So what if we had this beautiful brainstorming session and we come together and we collectively begin putting forth ideas of what we want to see? And we all have a piece to the puzzle. And we set a day where we have an intention to say, what do we want to see? What is that intention? And then we find key words in Hebrew and Aramaic. And then we begin looking at these words and we start seeing the intricacies. So now we have this vision of what we want to create. We found Hebrew and Aramaic words and all of these beautiful intricacies found within the words. And we take these home and we begin collectively meditating upon this. Not just individually, not just me creating, but we choose to create and come together as a family. And we use this exact technique that Dr. Joe is talking about us to attract things in the quantum field of these endless possibilities of potential, just waiting for the creators to manifest them collectively. So yeah, we can create our own little micro, but what if we were to take it upon the macro level? Because that's really what, so we've had a lot of people within the last year that have been calling for group meditations. Even Ken and I did that. That's why we were doing the Todah Rabbah, because we wanted you guys to see what the intent was through the letters for us to enter into the place of creating an expansive gratitude globally.
Mhm.
To me, that's a game changer. To me, that means we can do something about the state of affairs that we see. Because not only are we taking care of that here on the inside, because that's the only way it can happen, is that Todah Rabbah within me is going to manifest it and bring it into the quantum field within my life. But then our overlapping, our auras, our light, our essence, our electromagnetic energies begin rippling out and connecting with each other as we're all doing it. This is an absolute game changer. For me, I see it is. If we can do that, if we choose to enter in and to do that. That's also a level of trust that is necessary for us to enter into a place that we feel intimate and secure enough in, that we can engage with one another at a level of trust, that we can come in with our heart's desires and know that we've created a safe place in which we can co-create together. Because there's not any hidden agendas. There isn't any self-service here. It's for the greater good because we're individually being responsible in our creation with each other, co-creating. This is way bigger. This is just way bigger than just on the individual level as far as I can see it. And that's what I keep connecting to that is so profound when I'm reading the words of this book of going, we have the potential of changing everything. And we don't need our legislators to do it. We can do it. And I don't think it'll take many of us to accomplish it. That's just my thoughts.
Mhm.
Anybody else want to add anything?
Well,
or did I just go way out there?
It's also it's the level of clarity that you can attain, and it takes meditating on it. It takes it. If we can get to a place, I mean, the stronger the clarity, the more powerful it is. And so there's a level of clarity that needs, and so there's a lot of components. There's knowledge, there's different things that come into play that gives more clarity so that the thought is more pure, so that the intent is more powerful and will manifest more easily.
Perfect, Regina. And that's why I think the sacred languages are key. Because the intent within those languages are of a pure intent. And if we were to come together and pick just a few words and then break them together, break them down so that we could clearly see what the intent is of this word, then we can have a much more clear intent on that which we are meditating on to create within the quantum field to bring this as a now in these infinite possibilities to be in our now. Because there's not ambiguity, right? So if I say peace to you guys, or I say heaven, or just pick some arbitrary numbers, just pick them out there.
Mm-hmm.
If I ask you to define that for me, we will all have many different definitions. And then we may say, okay, let's go to the Webster Dictionary to see what that is. And yes, you can have some more definition. But when we go to the pure languages, those that affect matter, because remember,
Yeah.
I've shared with you guys cymatics, the study of cymatics,
Yeah.
languages that have the ability to affect matter is Hebrew, Sanskrit, and Aramaic.
Mhm.
So when we have a word that we are meditating upon and we know the intention of that word, and there's a vibrational frequency that affects matter, and we begin to draw a picture or create a space with these words, with their energetic frequencies, and we are in that place of love and gratitude as we are meditating upon these things to create that environment. Now you've come in agreement with the sacred languages that are of our own creation, affecting matter in the quantum field, shifting our very reality at a quantum level within us and without us together. That is when group meditation becomes so incredible because everybody has come on the same page in unity as unified within what these words are saying at a quantum level in a vibratory frequency that affects matter.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Like, wow. I look at those possibilities and go, wow, look at the power that we are being given right now. And why the tests have been so extreme in our lives. To be trusted with the level that is being given to us to be responsible creators. That's sobering. At least for me it is.
Yeah.
Like, oof.
I keep feeling like I'm interrupting Zarin because there's a delay, and then I realize he's starting to talk, and then I'm already talking. And sorry, Zarin. But he was going to say something.
No, it's just an interesting dynamic between the relationship that we've built and parallel mine between Ken and Carrie. It's just like, it's uncanny. It's the word I have for that. And what you just expressed was a deep desire of mine. In just a physical sense, like there's things that I would like to see just on my own physical property that I take care of and I see every day. And it's like, I could go do this and spend my time developing that. But there's this heart within me that says, I don't want to do it by myself. It's futile. And that's just from a external position. And you just gave life and words to an internal desire that I have as well, that I don't want to do this by myself.
That's so good.
And it wasn't meant to do. Yeah.
No, it wasn't meant to do by
Amen.
ourselves.
So thank you.
That's really good. Kathleen, do you have any thoughts on it?
About 500. I was just thinking about, how much I appreciate finding the languages because, and you've talked to me about this with microcosm and macrocosm, but you know what? I'm such a reader and a researcher, a scholar, whatever, how I was made. And I read, Greg Braden and Lynn McTaggart, and, she's friends with Joe and Joe Dispenza and Heart Math. I got the little contraptions and everything. But you know what? I'm embarrassed to keep saying this, but it is a fact. I spent my life looking at everybody else and thinking, well, these are the smart people. And these are the people that have got it together. And these are the people who know how to, do what they're doing. And so I was just an observer watching them and just thinking, wouldn't it be great? And then with your languages, how those languages can speak to you, those words can speak to your soul inside. And I don't know, I was thinking, like Zarin mentioned it, you guys have all said it. How can we do this collectively if we haven't done it on the inside? I don't know. I mean, I'm just so grateful to be, I'm probably very concentrating now on the inside because I have an autoimmune disease, but I read this book a long time ago and had that thought. Wow, that'd be cool. But you know what? It's like it comes alive to me because it's almost like listening to your channel as I'm reading this book again now. So I don't know. That's all I really wanted to share.
No, that's excellent. That's excellent. And you know, one of the things that I want to say to that, Kathleen, this is something I found when Ken and I had our fitness class. Group accountability helps us go much further than when we do it on our own. And I know this well because we have lots of beautiful desires of things that we want to do. But it's very easy for us to not do anything about it unless we have others that encourage us to keep going. And I've seen this in action.
Mhm.
I know this concept very well. I taught it, I lived it, I experienced it. I have many testimonies of the power of coming together in a group. And when I use the word accountability, you know, a lot of people look at that very negatively. And it's unfortunate. But I can see the duality of that same word, right? I can see both sides. The beauty that I see in accountability is that when you engage and you enter in with someone and you realize that we're not doing it individually, then on those days when it is difficult, you have somebody that you know is going to encourage you to not give up, to press ahead, to do meditation, to do these kind of things, because we see the end result. This is where oneness unity is so beautiful, because you are me and I am you.
Mhm.
So if I need, this is just as it too, if I need encouragement, then I can go and reach out and encourage somebody, and I'm actually encouraging myself. And it comes back as a mirror right back to me.
Yeah.
And so having encouragement, an encouragement partner, ones that we choose to be accountable with, we can do these things. Because it's one thing to read it in a book. It's another thing to say, hey, I'm going to make a commitment to the group, and we're going to commit to do this with each other. And we're going to create together. And we're going to come together and we're going to partner and we're going to take a look and we're going to just look at one thing. And in this one thing, what are we going to come up with collectively? What is the part that I'm going to bring to this? What part is Kathleen going to bring, and Zarin and Regina and anybody else who is listening out there in YouTube land right now, or anybody who listens to this recording later? What are we going to come and bring to the table to be responsible co-creators, creating with each other and encouraging each other to follow through with this, to get it done, to see it done? Because we can't, I honestly don't think that we can do this individual thing anymore. I think that we're seeing that the separation hasn't provided us that which our heart truly desires. And when I was in Crestone, in Colorado, and Zarin and Vanessa and their family, and then the others that joined us there, if I heard one thing, I heard it 1,000 times while I was there, about how much people wanted to have community, how much they wanted to connect at the heart level, and how lonely they have felt. We don't have to have that anymore. I am so grateful for technology. I am so grateful that we can have the Zoom meeting going on right now, and we are connecting at the heart level. And yet we live in different parts of the world. But right now, quantumly, we are here right now, same time, same place, one heart, one mind, one soul, talking about how can we create responsibly, not only changing us on the inside, but manifesting that out externally, so that within the matrix, within the quantum field, we begin attracting that which our hearts collectively desire.
Yeah.
Because really, when we do it together, it encourages us to continue to do it. That's why group exercising is actually far more beneficial than having an individual that is doing the exercising, because really only 2 to 5% of the population are self-starters. That means 95 to 98% can use group support and would need group support in order to continue pursuing their goals and finishing and completing them.
Mm-hmm.
That's profound.
Yep.
And you wonder why we haven't seen huge global shifts when only 2 to 5% of the population is actually the ones that are doing something about it. What about the 95 to the 98% of us that have the desire to do something about it? And we know that we need to come together, because it is through our togetherness the strength comes. That is why the Aleph is the mystery of the many who are one. Aleph means strong. It means strength. And we do that by coming together and not being separate. And so using this information that is being presented to us in the quantum field, we literally can change the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's no longer a pie in the sky kind of thing, because we understand now, or have a better comprehension of the quantum field as it's waiting to provide experiences for us. Just think about that. The Creator is just waiting for us to create an experience, because it is there as infinite possibilities waiting for us to come together to create a new reality. The sea of infinite possibilities is waiting to partner with us. I mean, whoa, that just hit me right here. Waiting to partner with us.
Yeah.
So whatever we can dream of, we can create. And how much greater it would be coming together and doing it together. Wow. Whoa. That encourages me. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. Thank you, Spirit.
All of us did. Yeah.
So moving on to page 20. Slow crawl through the book. I love it. Only when subjects held both heightened emotions and clear objectives in alignment were they able to produce the intended effect. An intentional thought needs an energizer, a catalyst, and that energy is an elevated emotion, heart and mind working together, feelings and thoughts unified into a state of being. If a state of being can wind and unwind strands of DNA in 2 minutes, what does this say about our ability to create? The next Hebrew thought. This is why I'm saying this book just floored me when I was like, oh my gosh. Next Hebrew thought. State of being. HIYAH. You guys have heard us say this word many times before. This is the root to the tetragrammaton Yod He Vav He. It's He, Yod He, HIYAH. To be, to become, to come to pass. To be, to become, to come to pass. So, oh, this is so good. Okay. The first He is the intent. So He means reveal or behold. So let's look at this HIYAH as a state of being, because literally the word HIYAH means to be, to become, to come to pass, being. In fact, it is the root of the word HIYAH, which means I am. HIYAH. You guys have heard us all say this, that we are I am. We're living in our I am presence, right? Well, the Hebrew word is HIYAH. The phrase I am that I am, HIYAH Asher HIYAH. I am that I am. Asher means the happy and fortunate ones. So I'm going somewhere with this. I am that I am, a happy and fortunate being that understands the process of creation and partners with it and becomes one with it. So the root, HIYAH, the first He is the intention. What is the intent? We need to create it. Behold, here's this revelation. We are putting forth an intent. The next is the yod. The yod, because it's in the center of that root word, has to do specifically with our heart. And the yod is a portion that has vision. It means vision. It's connected gematria to the word kazah, means to see a vision. But it means power, means, and direction given. And it's in the heart level. Here's your strong emotion. So we have the intention set in the first revelation. Then you have the emotion through that yod that is in here that you're connecting to with a strong emotion about the intention. And then you activate it. And then the hey on the opposite side, on the father's side, is I'm giving you the energy to make it happen. And behold, here it is. It has come to pass. Oh my gosh! Did you guys connect to that? I know the letters. So I know that everything that we just talked about, having the clear intention of the vision that we want to activate on, having a strong emotion of gratitude, of toda rabah, of ahava, of love, and strongly attaching to that vision that we are sitting in and we're meditating upon. Then the second hey, it is revealed. Behold, here it is. It now comes into pass.
Oh,
You have just become one as Eyeh. I am. I am a creator. I know the intention. I've connected to my heart, my strong feelings and emotions. And behold, here it is. It comes to pass.
wow.
That blows my mind because I have been looking at that tetragrammaton for so long to be able to connect to it, to say that I understand it now. And it has nothing to do with these external narratives of Yaldabaoth and the bastard creator that has put everybody, subjecting them in this world of torture and misery. The sod level, the mysterious level. I'm going to share this with you guys, and I don't want to go any further in the book because I think that we can talk about what we just shared because I don't want to get lost in those words. I want us to comprehend what Joe is saying connected to the sacred languages that have the ability to affect matter, that are waiting for us to partner with it in the quantum field to create and shift and make things new. That's what I want to connect to. So I shared with Regina before we came on, we had about a half hour to connect. And I want to talk to you about the word sod, because this has been percolating in me for a couple days now. There's like 4 levels of scripture, and I'm going to go ahead and look it up. So in the Hebrew thought, so hold on just a second here. We're going to put in, let's see, Judaism, 4 levels of scripture so that I can quote them correctly to you. The Peshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. And this is interesting. You would know this as Pardes, meaning garden or orchard or paradise. So Peshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod are the 4 levels of scripture that is really the garden within, our garden or paradise. The deepest level is Sod. And I'm going to share with you guys here, Hebrew, Strong's. So if anybody wants to look this up, you can. It's Strong's number 5475. And when we look to see what this word means, and then I'll go letter by letter, and this probably will make more sense to you guys as to what I've been talking about today, sharing from my heart and using Dr. Joe's work as a framework for this. This, in its definition, means a session, a company of persons in close deliberation, by implication, intimacy, consultation, a secret. A company of persons in close deliberation that are within the garden of creation, that have intimacy within themselves, that are consulting one another about a secret of something that is very deep, that is held within us. That secret is the fact that we are creators. Semek Vav Dalet. So if this is coming from the garden and you have listened to our teachings for a while, I mean, I know that Kathleen you have, and Regina you have, and Zarin you have, the three of you that are on here with us. Ken is explicitly, I mean, he has said it so many times that we are the garden. So when we get into this sowed level with each other, into this place of intimacy and consultation and deliberation, Samek Vav Dalet. Samek is a letter that means hedged in, supported, propped up, and protected. It is a letter that means the signet ring and the wedding ring. Vav, connected to their heart in expansion. Dalet, the door into the place of intimacy, into secrecy, into a strong, close deliberation within the deep levels of the sacred language, because we understand that we are coming together as creators. We literally can create our own Garden of Eden again by coming into the sowed level of what the languages are providing for us. So when Ken and I share scriptures with you guys, we're coming from the sowed level. We're not coming from the top surface layers. We're not coming into, well, what's some of the deeper meanings as far as the argumentative state in the system of duality. We're going all the way to the deep water, the place of intimacy, because that is where we come together in a coherent state and begin creating together, consulting together in close deliberation of that which we want to see. Wow! So if we want intimacy in our relationships, this is where the language helps foster that. Because I mean, I've heard you guys, I've heard your hearts about how you were drawn in by the languages, by things that Ken and I were sharing, because we were sharing from the intimate level of the scriptures. And of course it would draw you in, because the intimacy has to do with your heart. And this is where we can come to the place and create from together. You guys have any thoughts on that? Or is it more just sit and ponder of what we've just shared?
Yeah, I do.
Well, yeah.
Well, Zarin, you go first, and then Kathleen, you go, and
Something,
then Regina, if you want to, because I don't want to share any more from the book. I think we have enough that we can talk about for this last little bit that we're doing. So I just want to open it up to discussion now.
When I was, I guess, in my childlike state of not knowing what I was creating, and this is coming from a good place, I got emotional, and I can remember three very distinct times. One was where I felt like I was at the lowest place in my life, where I just cried out from the depths of who I was, show me a better way. And from that point forward, it's like a turning point in my life where I connected to something that was emotionally charged. And then immediately thoughts came to mind in scripture and stuff where I was at that place. And there's another time where I was on the phone with my mom and going over some family stuff, specifically dealing with finances and all aspects of our family, from my uncle, my aunt, and our financial positions and our journey through life, like what is going on, and came emotionally charged and came against whatever that was. And I felt like the word in that time was theft. And here I am asking Ken and Carrie, one of the very first questions I dealt with was, what is this deal with the head wound? To realize that it was a theft in the garden. And I believe that was an answer to that prayer, where I thought I was going into it financially speaking. I got the whole garden back from an emotionally charged state of facing myself, really is what it was. And then another time where I was with my wife expressing something very, very deep, and like I saw something where I was like, I don't know what love is. And I was very open and transparent with my wife about it. I don't know what love is. And that was another emotionally charged time in my life. And then before I even knew about the Hebrew language, and every single one of those emotionally charged states are answered in the language and are being answered continually. And it's a building process that I get. I'm in that creative state where, because of that connection to my heart level, I'm creating a new reality with what you're talking about, the sod, friendship, fellowship, not only myself, but those around me.
That's beautiful. And I do love that the languages give an amazing platform for that. An amazing platform. That's what's kept me coming back for 6 years now, going on 7. And I'm sure, Regina, you'd probably say the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm really enjoying, is you tying in, because you can listen to these things and really observe them and look at them from separate, but when you can integrate them and bring more meaning to something that you're interested in both, but you're not connecting them together, that's really, really, it brings more clarity. It brings a level of clarity. And so then your intent is stronger. So that's
Exactly.
really, really good.
Well, that's why I was actually looking forward to getting to this place of the HIYAH, because I knew that as soon as I saw that little bit of information, that it really gave me the ability to go, okay, now I can connect to that Yod He Vav He Tetragrammaton in
Yes.
that Sod level, divorcing from all the narratives, but truly the essence of what it is saying about who we are and what we have the ability to do.
Yeah.
Kathleen, did you have something that you wanted to share as well?
Yes, I'm sorry. That was the first time that ever happened to me. It said your iPhone is too hot, let it cool off. And then I had to
Whoa.
get, yeah. Well, I was on with you this morning too, so I guess that was it. But you know what, honey? I don't know if you guys already said it, and we don't, of course, need to go back to the book. But when you were saying,
We can. It's
I
okay.
am that I am that I am.
Yeah.
And the what you were reading to us today on page 20, that last sentence, how he ended that whole section, says the quantum field responds not to what we want, it responds to who we are being. And I
That
thought
is
that just went
so
exactly
good.
to what you were saying. And that's why I was thinking about microcosm, macrocosm. I've been thinking a lot that if I don't see myself as being like this, I'm really not that great of a help to the group. It'd be all about, feed me, feed me. So that's why I'm working on myself so that I can be a good partner with everyone.
I love that, Kathleen. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh, your heart is so beautiful. That's the kind of stuff that just melts my heart. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like music to my ears, and it just, thank you. Because that's my heart as well. I think that's all of us. That's all of our hearts.
Yes.
And it's the beautiful place of that transparency, because that's been a huge focus lately too, is transparency. And one of the words with transparency is to make clear so light can shine through. And that's really that process of even bringing in, the information with the butterfly about purging the things that are densifying us, that aren't making us clear. And so us coming together and having a clear picture of that which we want to create, to bring that clarity so that light can be shining through. We aren't going to be creating from a place of a dense nature of something that could be chaotic, but something that is more defined and beautiful and having to do with light as well as love, as we're putting these things out in the quantum field And as we're healing ourselves, we can be better helpmates to one another in close proximity in the level of intimacy of that which we are truly craving. And that's why I want to present this information. That's why I've wanted to come onto YouTube, is so that we can create this environment. It's always been my heart. I mean, Regina knows that. It's always been my heart and her heart as well, to have this environment that we could create as family to be able to do this. It isn't for us to become well known. I could give a crap less if people know who my name is and my face. But what I do care about is our community of who we are as family.
Mhm.
Amen.
And that we all have a very important role to play. You know, there's a gentleman, I love Mr. Dean. I love Mr. Dean. You'll see him a lot on the comments, and he said something the other day about just, holding space for the light. And he just sees that that's what he's doing. But it's so much bigger than that. And yeah, it is holding space for the light, and it is the light that he's bringing. But as a family, we are truly building something together. And when somebody doesn't feel like they're doing anything, well, I'm just holding the light. Well, that is family. We are of one family. And so we all have an important role to play. We feel like that we should be doing something, but in our state of being, and by us doing the work, Kathleen, like you said, and then we're purging so that we can be a better use, that is the greatest service that we can do for any of us. Because as I do it, you and I are one. So as I'm doing it, it's happening to you at the same time. So every single ounce of work that any of us one does, it affects all of us. So if you want to know why there's a mass awakening going on right now, is because there's a whole lot of us that are doing the work that is simultaneously and quantumly shifting the rest, because we are all connected. So profound. So that's why this HIYAH, the intent of what we create, I believe we need to have more conversations about this. I believe that we need to set time to find a place where we can create a space to say, let's do this. Let's come together. Let's have some things written down, and let's begin to discuss the desires of our heart that we want to see manifested in a global experience where we're all partaking in responsibly creating this within the matrix field. Let's not just talk about it, let's do something about it and with it. We're going to still keep marching on through the book, because there are some things that we need to do individually as well to help us in this process. But as long as we are understanding that the end result is a fuller shift quantumly within the quantum field, globally interconnecting all of us together, then it gives us a much bigger picture of that what we are doing on the inside and why we're doing it. It's like, yeah, you can create an experience and you can create all kinds of finances and fun vacations and all of these things to come your way. But when that time is like, okay, that was fun for a while and I created all these kind of things. But if we can't think bigger, then we're missing the whole point of why we're here. Because it's no longer an individual thing. We've moved in and we're moving out of that. We're moving into an interconnected thing. We're moving into the season of the Alephim, of those that are the many who are of one. And that is a very strong thing that I feel. That's what the Aleph and the Tav is all about. The beginning and the end. Those who were in the beginning that are here at the end, that are becoming one at the beginning again. Because they made a covenant, they completed the journey, and now they're coming back around in oneness, unity, no longer divided. Because the Aleph, in the beginning there was one, in Bet they divided into two. That's when the dual system began to operate. And so by the time you finish the journey and you've gathered all the pieces and you've gone through the door and you've got the revelation and you connected to your heart and you went ahead and let the sword and plow do what it needed to so that you could find life because you were separated, because you saw the vision and then you allowed it to give you a means and direction in order to grasp a hold of that which was being said and offered to you so that you could have authority over the waters of chaos that we were all in order to find the seed of life that gives you a strong base to stand upon. The mere reflection of that which is going to produce heirship and royalty as creators, so that we could be given the signet ring, so that we could be wed, propped up, hedged in, supported. Then that way we could fully see the landscape of that which is really going on in dealing with our fallen nature. And then what that does, it gives us to speak different, because that's what we're creating with. We're revealing through what we're speaking and bringing forth these revelations through our own spirit breath. And then those very words that we hear ourselves speak then begin to be the journey that we are on, hunting and chasing after and desiring, and other people desire it. Because then in the circle of time, as we're compressing those things that are being spoken, compressing the light and the dark and finding the narrow path in between, we then can see the areas that we were poor and destitute in and then raise ourselves up into first fruit leaders. And then that's when we really allow the fire, the consuming fire, to cleanse us. Because by the time we get to this point in the journey, we've actually surrendered to it. Because we can see the end. We can see the completion. We can see the covenant. The fiery covenant that was always meant to purify our hearts so that we could start again as responsible, strong leaders, creators who have gone through the journey and get to start anew so that we can build all over again, but not from the place of separation, but now from the place of completion in creating from the place of oneness unity. By the way, I just told you the entire journey, the olive through the top.
Wow.
Every letter, every meaning, I just gave it to you. And I just spoke it to you. That is what the language does. And when you see that simplified journey, knowing that that is what is being presented to us, that we don't have to be in that place of separation anymore, that we're coming back to the place of completion in oneness unity so that we can rebuild from the place of oneness unity and not being separated. We no longer have to be Elohim that are divided into the light and the dark. Now we do it as one people, one blood, one love, one soul, HIYAH, to be, to become, to come to pass, together, creating together, through revelation after revelation, using the power of our heart and our brains, through coherence, with the Todah Rabbah, with the emotions and the gratitude and the love that naturally comes forth when you find oneness unity on the inside. And we are going to change the world, but we have to start doing it now. We need to start doing it within and come together, clean up our crap, purge out the goop that needs to, because the transformation is happening. That's why we are gathering. It is happening. It's khalaf. It's the same root word as the word when Yeshua transfigured. He was changed and he was transmuted. And why? Because he found life. He allowed instruction to come in his heart in the place of life. And then mouth began to speak these transformative words that altered and changed and transmuted his DNA so that he could become a vessel of light. This is exactly what we are talking here about through, where's my cover? It got torn off. Through this. HIYAH. And then when we complete it, there's a word that we become called Luyah. And Luyah are those who have the staff of authority that give this power and reveal it to those who are willing to connect their hearts so that it can be manifested in the world. These are light workers. These are those who decided to come to be able to affect creation, to clean up our messes so that we can come together and create responsibly, to create well, understanding the power of consciousness. That's my thoughts. I don't have anything else to say, which that's probably just for right now.
That's good, Carrie. That was good.
It's available for us, and I'm so excited you guys are here. I love you. I mean, I don't know who else is on YouTube, but I love you guys. I love you so much. I love you so much. You are my family. Thank you. Toda Rabah. Thank you for just being you, and that we're walking this out together. It's an honor and a privilege. And if I could hug you guys right now, I mean, I'm sending a hug right now. I'm just going to have to send it energetically to you, and I hope you receive it and feel it, because my heart's exploding right now. You guys are amazing. You truly are amazing. And I am so much better because I know you. So, Toda Rabah, thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Zarin. Thank you to your beautiful family for touching my heart the way you have. Thank you, Regina, for being such a faithful and beautiful friend.
Back at you.
I'm truly blessed. Truly.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. I'll let us all go because now I'm going to probably go and have a good cry. And I don't need to do it on online. Not that I'm afraid to, because I've done it before, but I'm good. I think that it would just be good. Let's just bask in the beauty of creation and what is being gifted to us. And we're going to see some amazing things. And I'm so excited to partner with you guys. An incredible journey.
Me too.
All right. I love you guys. Shalom, shalom. Namaste.